Welcome to today's English language class. My name is Jacob Ado. Today we'll be talking about a punctuation mark. Specifically, we'll be talking about the comma. The comma is just one among several other punctuation marks that exist, which include the apostrophe, the full stop, the semicolon, the colon, the question mark, the hyphen, and the quotation mark. Traffic signs are very important to road users. They help users to know how to use the road safely. Sometimes a person driving could see a sign that tells him or her that there is a bridge ahead, or there is a very sharp bend ahead, and the person is careful as he drives along the road. That is how punctuation marks help readers to get exactly what writers have put down in their writing. Where punctuation marks are used wrongly, certainly meanings will be distorted and information will not be the way they are intended. Consider these sentences. Let's eat, Grandma. Let's eat, Grandma. Are they the same? No, they are not. Someone is likely to say just the comma makes the difference. Yeah, but what is the difference exactly? The difference is not just about the presence of the comma. The difference is in the meaning. The comma has changed the meaning completely. Imagine you have to give a report. I was passing by the window when I heard, "Let's eat, Grandma." And then someone who reads your report, let's say at a police station, reads this instead of what you actually wrote. Will it go well? Certainly not, because the meaning of the first sentence is that the person is inviting Grandma to eat, whereas the second is saying that two people were discussing that they should eat Grandma. Perhaps they should kill her and eat her flesh. You see, that is going to be a very interesting case if it has the police involved. The comma has several functions. One of such functions is this. Two coordinate clauses are separated by a conjunction and or a comma. That is, you have two coordinate clauses written together. In the middle you can have either just a comma or a conjunction or the two. A comma is used before the coordinators but, yet, and nor. Look at these examples. His first films met with great success, but his popularity soon waned. You can see a comma coming after success, and again you have a coordinator, but. Okay, the second example. The new testing regulations will not help teachers, nor are they likely to improve educational standards. Without the comma there after teachers, there could be a problem in the smooth flow of the reading, and the meaning is going to have a problem too. Let us go on. A comma can be used before and or. The comma may be used before and or, especially in longer sentences. It guides the reader to accurately relate the grouped words in the sentence. Consider these examples. The musicians played and the children sang. We have not used any comma here because there's no problem. The sentence has few words, although it has two clauses brought together by the use of and. The meaning is very straightforward. But in the second sentence, the first clause is quite long. So the comma is needed to help the person make out the meaning of the first clause properly. And then he comes again to add the other part of the sentence before he gets the full meaning of the complete sentence. The musicians played traditional folk songs all night long, and all the children joined in with the singing. The musicians played, the children sang, and everybody danced. Students can go home for lunch, or they can eat in the canteen. So if you look at all the instances where the comma has been used, you could see that it is used to separate clauses, whereby just saying them together could make the meaning hidden. Now, where you see the comma used and inserted in brackets, it shows that you can leave out the comma there. You can decide not to use it there. That's why it is written in bracket. It is optional. Okay? Another way you can use the comma is in a list of items. This is one of the very common ways of using the comma. People know this more than several other ways they should use the comma. The comma is used to separate items in a list. And, or are often found before the last item. And in this case, the final comma may be omitted. That is, in a case where it is at the end of the list. It's not all the time that the comma will be necessary. Mr. Dung planted mango, cashew, orange, and pineapple in his garden. So you can see the comma there also used and put in brackets. It means that you can decide to leave it out. But there are instances where you just have to let it be there. My meal today will be spaghetti, tuwo, rice and beans, and yam and beans. If you remove the comma before and in this case, or after and, it's going to be a problem. Okay? Rice and beans is used here to refer to a particular meal. Yam and beans is also used to refer to a particular meal. They are not separate items, and that's why the comma does not separate them. Okay. The comma is used to show geographical locations. That is, the relationship between a state and a country, or a village and the local government, and so on. Okay, that is the bigger city and a smaller one. Take, for example, what is written here. They live in Alberta, Canada. My school is in Plateau, Nigeria. Plateau is the state, Nigeria is the country. The comma is used in question tags. It is used before question tags. This was a great experience, wasn't it? Okay. You like my hairstyle, don't you? So the comma is important here, because if the comma is omitted, it's going to be a problem. This was a great experience, wasn't it? Well, that, I think, a problem if it's not used properly. The comma can be used to mark level intonation combined with a pause. This can signal added emphasis to the phrases or clauses separated by the comma. I read that again. The comma can be used to mark level intonation. Perhaps that needs a little explanation. But then let's go on. We'll see what we can do about that. The comma can be used to mark level intonation combined with a pause. This can signal added emphasis to the phrases or clauses separated by the comma. Let's go to the examples. The problem was resolved, to everyone's surprise and pleasure. Now that is what the level intonation is. The problem was resolved to there's a relationship between resolved and to. Okay, so the intonation is not very different between resolved and to when one is speaking. But it's important in writing that the comma is there, otherwise the message will be distorted. I did my work not with any help. If the comma is not included, the person is likely to start by saying, I did my work not, before he realizes that, oh, he's saying a different thing, and may have to just come back and start reading all over again. So reading can be impeded. Okay. These are things you shouldn't do as you use the comma. Do not use the comma between subject and its verb. Look at the examples. The table which I sat on yesterday is broken. It's wrong to have a comma after yesterday. The table which I sat on yesterday is the subject of the sentence. Is broken is the second part of the sentence. That is where you have the predicate. Okay, so and the verb is. So you don't separate the subject and its verb. Okay, the second example there is the two Chinese boys in the yard can do the work left. Even if you intend to say it with a pause, you can't use the comma to separate the subject, the two Chinese boys in the yard, and the verb can do. It is wrong to do that. You shouldn't use the comma between compound subjects or compound verbs. Compound subject means you have a subject that contains two similar structures. You have my brother and my sister, for instance. There you can see. Okay, my brother and my sister like to swim on Saturdays. Look at that. You have my brother and my sister. You don't need a comma to separate brother and there. Okay? You should not use a comma between two clauses if the second is subordinate. I hurried back home after I completed my homework. That is wrong, but of course you can use it if the subordinate clause comes before the main clause. If you say, after I completed my homework, I hurried back home, that will be okay to have the comma come after homework. But in this case, it is wrong. The baker's shop was closed because he couldn't pay the rent. That is also not acceptable. You're also not allowed to use the comma this way. You shouldn't use the comma after and or but. It's a very common mistake. You can stay here and teach me mathematics. That is not correct. After taking Mr. James to hospital, he gave me some money, but I didn't take it. After taking Mr. James to the hospital, he gave me some money, but I didn't take it. So, after taking Mr. James to the hospital, he gave me some money, but, you see, the comma coming after but, that's not correct. Before a proposition, you shouldn't use a comma. My brother and my sister like to joke about witches and saints. That's the wrong use of the comma. Between only two items in a list, it's also not correct to use the comma. We need to buy sachet tomato and pepper. That is equally wrong use of. Conclusion. We have observed that an utterance can be misleading if the comma is not properly used. The comma is very important in ensuring that the intended information is presented to the reader. It should not be mindlessly used. It has to be intentional. Thank you for your attention. Let's meet again next class.